Hello, you're watching Global Mirror. I'm Shreya Upadhyaya. This week, Donald Trump became a free convicted felon, a first for an American president. The U.S. also saw major wildfires on the California coast, even as the opposite side of the country experienced a massive snowstorm due to the polar vortex, while Mecca, in a rare occurrence, grappled with heavy floods. Donald Trump sent some countries into panic mode as well, as he said he would merge them with the United States of America. This and much more up ahead, but first let's talk about the major relief that has come in for Trump. In a massive relief for the former US President, Donald Trump has been granted unconditional release in the hush money case. Remember, this is a legal case and a controversy stemming from alleged payments made during the 2016 presidential election campaign. The case revolves around claims that Trump's legal team facilitated payments to adult film actor Stormy Daniels, who had threatened to reveal details of an affair that she claims to have had with Trump. Now, these payments were reportedly made to prevent Stormy Daniels from going public, which could have impacted Trump's political career. Despite the legal complexities surrounding this case, including charges related to campaign finance violations and falsifying business records, Trump's legal team has secured a deal that results in no jail time, penalties, or probation for the former president. However, Trump will remain a convicted felon, but his sentence will not involve incarceration or additional punitive measures.
The devil lies in the details. On the face of it, the headline says that Donald Trump has been convicted, but this is a conviction without any sentencing. He will not pay any fine. He will not be in jail for any period of time, because this is essentially an unconditional discharge, which essentially means Donald Trump is a free man, and the decks are cleared for him to take oath as the next president of the United States. He does, again, make the history books for someone who has always been on the dubious side of history. He does go in as the first U.S. president to be a convicted felon, as you pointed out, but the fact still remains that at the ground level, he is not going to be hindered by any sort of a jail time or any sort of a fine or any sort of a penal provision. This is, again, a classic example of how the system was manipulated, especially the judiciary was kind of nudged and manipulated, because the original hearing for this case, which is, of course, the 2016 hush money case involving then President Donald Trump and Stormy Daniels. The hearing was originally supposed to come up in July, but successfully Trump was able to lobby and get it delayed to a point where it was evident then that he was going to be the next president, and that was a key argument used by his legal team to highlight the fact that this was someone who was going to go into the White House and therefore should not be sentenced or given any sort of jail term. So yes, it is a massive relief for Donald Trump. He gets away with just a conviction in name, essentially, and that doesn't stop him at all. And one more big vindication for Donald Trump.
From one Donald Trump update to the other, ahead of his inauguration as the US president, Donald Trump has rattled the world by his statements one after the other. In his latest press conference at Mar-a-Lago, Trump said that he will merge Canada into America as the 51st state, and even put out a map of the two countries as one America, much to the outrage of Justin Trudeau, who put out a reply on social media platform X saying there isn't a snowball's chance in hell that Canada would become part of the United States. Donald Trump did not stop there. He did not rule out using military to take control of Greenland and Panama Canal in what many say is a clear signal to China and Russia. Greenland is a crucial maritime location and home to rare earth minerals, the production of which China leads currently, while Panama, remember, is an important trade route of the world. Leaders of both the regions fired back at Donald Trump, saying they will never let US dominate them. This has been ongoing between Donald Trump and Justin Trudeau. And now, of course, Elon Musk also weighing in on this entire issue. But jokes apart, how concerned is Canada as far as Donald Trump's claims are? Or do you just see it as, just another reason that Donald Trump has to provoke and irk Justin Trudeau?
Well, it's not being seen as just a joke. It's being seen as partly a joke, but partly very serious. Remember that Canada and everybody else has been through this before. We had the first Trump administration who did indeed follow through on his threats to impose tariffs on Canadian imports, and Canada strategically retaliated. with carefully targeted retaliatory tariffs. And by target, I mean targeted on the districts and industries favored by Trump's donors and his political partners, Republicans in Congress. So that they were aimed at, oh, you manufacture Harley Davidson motorbikes, import those? Okay, we'll put tariffs on those, and pickles, and ketchup, and a range of particular, not each huge, but a range of particular industries which cause pain in the United States. Now, big thing though, energy. Trump raves about how there's a $200 billion subsidy. He's talking about the U.S. trade deficit with Canada, and that $200 billion figure is complete nonsense.
Yes.
It's not even $100 billion. In fact, it's about $40 billion in terms of the deficit. But if you take oil and gas out of it, the U.S. actually has a surplus in trade. So what he's saying about that is complete nonsense, if that matters. It may not matter. But imagine what's going to happen in the United States if gas prices go up. I mean, Canada exports something like 4 million barrels of oil per day, 4 million barrels a day,
Yes.
Canada to the U.S. What do you think is going to happen to gas prices due to the 25% tariff? Well, I think the short answer is there won't be a 25% tariff. And that when they see if the Canadian government is capable of taking action at the moment with a sort of paralyzed government with with a sort of lame duck prime minister, then we may see that there will be reduced and more targeted tariffs, perhaps on both sides. I don't expect to see the Canada joining the United States as the 51st state anytime soon, forever.
Okay. Okay. We've also got Mr. Vibhuti Jha and Mr. Pathikrit Pain on the broadcast. Good evening, namaskar to both of you gentlemen. Before I come to you, let me go across to Ray Locker. Ray, Donald Trump has said that merging Canada, Greenland and the Panama Canals is important for the security of the United States of America. Do you buy that argument? How do you see this entire statement after statement coming in from the next U.S. president?
Well, I view it with alarm, and of course I don't buy it. It's totally fabricated, and it's another example of the fantasy world that Donald Trump lives in. Look, people were saying that this is what we were going to get if we reelected him, and we're getting it now. He's not even president. And so there's no way Canada is going to become the 51st state. We will see tariffs, but we don't know what kind of tariffs there will be. It will be a problem for U.S. consumers because it will raise prices. Look, the Panama Canal has been run by the Panamanians since 1978, 1979 with no problem. It's not a security threat. And if the United States wants to be more involved in Panama, then it needs to be down there doing things economically, not threatening an invasion, which is just absolute insanity. And the same with Greenland. We have bases in Greenland. We don't need to control Greenland. We already have access there. And what would we do if we got it? It would cost even more money. So all of this is in this weird stew of psychosis that Donald Trump has. And guess what? In 12 days, we're going to own it.
President that's talking about purchasing and taking over Greenland. In 1867, you had President Andrew Johnson. That time, the U.S. had bought Australia. There was also talks of buying Greenland. That didn't fructify. That's another matter. But Donald Trump isn't the first person in the United States, not the first president, to talk about it.
Andrew Johnson is your best example. I mean, the guy was, guess what, the first president to be impeached. He was one of the people responsible for derailing
well,
large
that's the
parts
best
of
example from the United States of America in this context. There has to be a reference.
Fine, you can cite that as a reference. He would not be my best reference. He may have floated it, and around the same time, we did buy Alaska. But we didn't buy Greenland. We don't need Greenland. And Andrew Johnson has been discredited throughout U.S. history. So I would hardly cite him as an example.
Okay. Vibhuti Jha, do you want to come in on this? The fact that Greenland is also seen not just as a primary maritime strategic region, but also as a region that might help the US counter China as far as the rare earth production is concerned, something that China has said earlier that it's not going to, go ahead with as far as its relations and trade relations with United States is concerned?
Thank you very much for having me. The point here is this is a geopolitical play. Mr. Trump is notorious for being unpredictable. Nobody expected that he would make these statements or make the claim. And to have invited Trudeau when he went to Mar-a-Lago, he told him, why don't you become 51st state? It was a joke. And I agree with Terry and I agree with everybody. This is not going to happen. As one Canadian billionaire said, well, we will buy Alaska from you and including throw in Minnesota. The question is, yes, this is political lobbying going on. It's a geopolitical play. We indulge in trade negotiations to do things and we try to occupy land. And nobody knows that better than India. That once upon a time, an extremely powerful and rich country was invaded and colonized by everybody else who came there. Our Indian resources were looted, and you know who all became rich. The British Empire became rich. The point of the matter here is that these kind of political plays go on all the time.